And a lot is going to take place on the football field this weekend. Gosh, it's going to be an awesome Saturday. So let's get to my weekly Pac-12 Prime Picks and predictions. The Pac-12 Prime Picks, some are saying, are the hottest gambling entity in the entire country. Now, I don't know who's saying that. I've seen it written all over the Twitter sphere and internet writ large. That's because we've got 3 straight winning weeks off of a 4-1 performance last week. That was quite good. Quite good. Let's get into it. So I once again am going 4 game spreads and 1 over-under. Had good success with the over-under so far. We'll see if I can keep it going. Game of the week in the Pac-12 and in college football is pick number 1. Number 5, Washington at number 11, Oregon State. You know my favorite part about this particular matchup and the pick that I'm about to make? Sometimes, as an Oregon fan, I am accused, incorrectly, of bias here on the show. I would like to see someone try to accuse me of being biased for my particular pick in this game. Maybe it'll help you realize that I actually do just come on here and share my thoughts, whatever they are, one way or the other, whether you agree or not. But I don't know that I can be accused of massive bias in this particular game, given that Washington is playing Oregon State. Those be Oregon's 2 biggest rivals. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Number 11, Oregon State at home. They're a 2.5-point favorite against number 5 and unbeaten Washington. This is going to be an awesome football game. That crowd, it's the last time they get to be at Reser Stadium this year. It's the last time they get to be at Reser Stadium as a Power 5 football program for the near future. That is going to be some kind of energy, and they already bring it week in and week out. They're trying to see how many people they can fit into the stadium. Washington's very good. We're all aware of that. This Oregon State team has lost just 1 time at home in the last couple of years. You know who beat them? A Heisman Trophy winning quarterback. That would make you think, well, maybe this is the one spot. I'm taking Oregon State here. -2.5. I like the Beavs at home. I think this is a great game. I think they barely cover 35. Check that, 34 to 30. I think Oregon State wins and covers the 2.5 at home and gives Washington their first loss of the season. Utah and Arizona, I would again like to remind the College Football Playoff Committee that in no way, shape, or form should the loser of the Utah-Arizona game be unranked after this one, even though they'll have 4 losses on the season, because they will all be quality losses, especially Utah's losses. So I look at this game. Utah fell all the way to 22. I think that's too much disrespect. Bryson Barnes has found something with this Utah offense. And I like Arizona's defense. I've talked them up all year. They're much improved. Maybe the most improved individual unit in the entire Pac-12 is Arizona's defense. They were atrocious a year ago to they are solid to above average sometimes this year. I think this is a Kyle Whittingham special. I think Jed Fish is an outstanding football coach. I've sung his praises for a long time here on this podcast for the last couple of years. I think Utah stops the Arizona winning streak, goes into Tucson, and is not going to be the 4th straight ranked team to fall to the Wildcats. This is, of course, a coin flip game, but I like the way Bryson Barnes has this Utah offense playing. 28 points in the first half on the road against Washington last week. Give me Utah -1.5 at Arizona. All these lines provided by our friends over at FanDuel Sportsbook. 27-24. I think the Utes get the job done. How about this game in Los Angeles? An unceremonious battle for Los Angeles, you could say, because USC is playing their last game of the regular season. It'll probably be the last college football game we ever see Caleb Williams play. You know, he would like to end with a victory, I am sure. I doubt he plays in USC's bowl game, since it's not going to be a great one, given that they already have 4 losses at this point in the year. USC is at home. Not that that matters a ton, but hey, it matters somewhat, I guess, maybe, possibly. Reports indicate, though I don't agree with this notion, I understand but don't agree, UCLA is going to let go of Chip Kelly after the game no matter what. That's kind of crazy, and I don't love the narrative that creates around a football team going into this game. There have been some reports about, player blow-ups, player blow-ups in the locker room, and Chip Kelly's not getting along with them and whatnot. And last week's game against Arizona State felt like a bottoming out point for this UCLA team, which I was down on before the year, and I have been right so far. And I am doubling up on bets in this particular game. USC is favored by 6.5 points at home. I'm taking the Trojans to win and cover 34-24, and I like the under 65.5. You may be saying, well, wait a minute. USC's defense with an under? You have to be kidding me. This is about two things why I like the under 65.5. 34-24, that's a point total. Last time I checked, we ran the numbers. It's 58, and I think they get under 65.5. Why? Because UCLA's defense is nasty. USC's offensive line is not that great, and UCLA's front four is really good. I think Caleb Williams will be under duress somewhat. You can hold this USC team under 30 points. UCLA doesn't have Dante Moore, doesn't have Ethan Garbers available. Those are the guys who have been starting caliber quarterbacks this year, but it's going to be Colin Schlee, the transfer from Kent State, who's a runner, and who last week led a UCLA offense to put up 7 points against Arizona State. ASU has a better defense than USC. Fact check true. But I think the Trojans defense played much, much better without Alex Grinch there on the road against Oregon last week. They were aided by some Ducks penalties, but still, I thought they were much more physical than normal and tackled a little bit better, though not great. UCLA's offense is going to make some plays because it's still not a great USC defense, but I think they're a little bit better there. I love USC minus 6.5, and I like the under 65.5. Trojans win 34-24 over the Bruins. And lastly, Colorado at Washington State. Winner gets to keep hope alive of playing in a bowl game in 2023, which means a lot more to either of these teams than it does to some others. UCLA is going to play in a bowl game this year. Probably won't mean a whole heck of a lot if they have an interim head coach. USC is playing in a bowl game this year. Guarantee you their fans won't care in the slightest because it won't be one of high caliber. Washington State favored by 4.5. They've lost 6 games in a row, never seen anything like it, and I think that ends tonight. I'll talk about that a little bit later in the show. I think Washington State wins and covers. I don't think it's easy, though, but I like Washington State. I can't get behind Colorado's defense. They've had some moments this year, but if Washington State can just run the ball a little bit, they run for 83 yards a game. Gosh, that's a low number. If they can run the ball just a hair, I think Washington State wins and covers the 4.5 at home, 27-17. I think the Washington State defense, which played well defensively, obviously, defense plays well defensively. I just kind of double talk myself there, but hey, it's the way it goes sometimes. Last time they played at home was against Stanford. Stanford's offense has been much improved. They put up real numbers this year. Put up points against Colorado. Put up points against Washington. I think they'll put up some points against Cal's defense this week. I think Washington State's defense comes ready to play on Senior Day, last home game for Brennan Jackson and Ron Stone Jr., whose names I can never say right correctly on the first try for reasons I don't know why. I think Washington State wins the game 27-17. Now, a couple other games that are taking place in the Pac-12 this week that are not part of the prime picks, but I'll give you my predictions anyway. How about the big game? Cal and Stanford. Bears favored by 6.5. I don't like that number with Cal on the road is why I keep it out. I think Cal wins, Stanford covers, but I don't feel confident enough to make it a prime pick. Bears 31, Stanford 27. And in a game that I don't think Arizona State can win given their lack of quarterback consistency and production. Trent Bourguet has just one passing touchdown this year. I think Oregon's going to go into Tempe and roll, though I have thought that before and it didn't materialize. That ASU defense plays well, but I think Oregon is just way too hot for Arizona State at the moment. 45-13. I think the Ducks go down, beat the Sun Devils and cover, but those are not Pac-12 prime picks. Just to recap, Pac-12 prime picks for week 12. 3 winning weeks in a row, trying to make it 4. We're over 500 on the year. Oregon State minus 2.5. Utah minus 1.5. USC minus 6.5. The under 65.5 number in UCLA at USC, and Washington State minus 4.5.